Good afternoon. Welcome, everyone. I am Sharon Green Middleton, Vice President of the City Council, representative for the 6th Council District, and Chairperson for the Economic and Community Development Committee. This afternoon, we will hear the following bills. Bill number 24-0485, the Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act, a corrective bill. 23-0433, rezoning 3500 West Forest Park Avenue. Bill number 230351, rezoning 1801 to 1807 Bloomingdale Road and 1800 to 1816 North Rosedale Street. And lastly, 23-0437, zoning conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 3 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, 1600 South Charles Street. Previously scheduled for today, the hearings for the following bills have been canceled pending rescheduling, and that is Bill number 23-0350, the rezoning of 420 North Haven Street. And dates for this hearing will be announced at future council meetings. So in attendance today, we have members of the committee: John Bullock of the 9th District, Mark Conway of the 4th District has an excused absence. We have Odette Ramos of the 14th District and Robert Stokes of the 12th District, and we do have a quorum. And one of the sponsors of the bill has notified me he's on his way. I think it's one of the rezonings, Councilman Torrance of the 7th District, so we'll see if he makes it in time. And then for representative of the Office of the President, we have Tiffany Macklin, Deputy Director for Legislation. Oh, no, that's not Tiffany. I just looked up. I'm sorry. We do have, did I see him? Aaron DeGraffenreid is here. And also from representatives from the Office of the Mayor, we have Tyler Chanella, Mayor's Office, Government Relations. Let's begin. Bill number 24-0485, Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act Corrective Bill. This bill was introduced on January 22nd, 2024. This bill was sponsored by Councilwoman Ramos. Councilwoman Ramos.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, committee members. This bill just corrects a typo that we had in the bill and clarifies that what we're talking about relative to tenant opportunity to purchase is for single-family homes. You'll remember just a few months ago, not even a few months ago, a few weeks ago, we passed the Mary Pat Clark Tenant Opportunity to Purchase Act. What that did, just as a review quickly, is that it shored up the right of first refusal so that when a landlord is going to sell a property, they have to offer it first to the tenant. And work with the tenant, and if the tenant is unable to work things out, then the landlord can put the property up for on the market. And then if the price comes down 10% or more than 10%, the landlord has to go back to the tenant and work with them. It does strengthen the bill from when the Councilwoman Mary Pat Clark was not in office and all of that. So what this particular bill does is just makes a correction to very much clarify that this is single-family homes that we're talking about. I have an amendment before you that was suggested by one of the attorneys around, title attorneys around making sure that it's very clear that the tenant can't assign the contract to somebody else in terms of going through that wholesaling process. So I would ask for your favorable report. This bill would be enacted exactly when the Mary Pat Clark bill gets enacted, which is April 1st. Thank you.
Thank you. And because this bill is even though it is kind of an extension of the Mary Pat bill, we still have to go through the process because it is a separate bill. So we'll start with agency representatives and the city solicitor's office.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jeff Hochstetler with the Solicitor's Office. The Law Department does approve the bill and the amendment for form and legal sufficiency.
Thank you. Housing and Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Jason Wright, representing the Department of Housing and Community Development. We respectfully stand behind our favorable bill report.
Thank you. And is the Housing Authority.
Crystal Highline, representing the Housing Authority of Baltimore City. We stand behind our bill report. Thank you.
Okay, and the amendment is at your request.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, one of them, but
basically.
it should be included already. It's already in there.
The amendment, I'll have to look, but the amendment. It's in there already. It's in the original bill.
Yes, ma'am.
Yep, thank
Okay,
you.
okay. Department of Finance.
Gabriel Stewart Zykowitz with the Department of Finance. We've reviewed the bill and the amendment, and we have no objection.
Thank you. Do committee members have any comments or questions? And so if hearing none, we'll check to see if there's any public testimony. Is there anyone here present? Checking to see if anyone is present in person. This is the tenant opportunity?
Yeah, I
Yes.
just, I might have missed it.
Councilman
You
Stokes.
explained the amendment, not only so the public understand what the amendment says. That's all. Thank you.
I'll be happy to do that again. So what the bill does is it just, it's a correction. We made an error in the original bill on a citation, and then also that the bill is just for single-family homes. And then the amendment basically just says that when the tenant enters into a contract with the owner of the property, that they can't assign the contract to somebody else. Yep, thank you.
Okay, we have no in-person testimony, and we have no online testimony. Is there a motion to recommend the amendment favorable? Second. So moved by Stokes, second by Ramos. Chair Middleton, yes. Bullock is a yes. Conway, absent. Dorsey, absent. Glover, absent. Ramos?
Yes.
Is a yes, and Stokes? Is a yes. And is there a motion to recommend the bill favorable?
So moved.
So moved by Ramos, second by Stokes. Chair Middleton, yes. Bullock is a yes. Conway, absent. Dorsey, absent. Glover, absent. Ramos?
Yes.
Is a yes, and Stokes? Is a yes. This bill will move to second reader at the next council meeting. Next, the committee will hear Bill number 23-0433, and that again is the rezoning 3500 West Forest Park Avenue. This bill was introduced on October 16th, 2023, and the bill's sponsor is Councilman Torrance. And we'll go ahead and the committee will now hear from agency representatives. So again, we'll start with the City Solicitor's Office.
Sorry. Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Elena DePietro from the City Solicitor's Office. The Law Department has approved this bill for form and legal sufficiency. I understand there is an amendment being offered by planning, and we are fine with the amendment as well.
Okay, thank you. Department of Housing and Community Development.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jason Wright, representing DHCD. We respectfully stand behind our favorable report with the amendment.
Thank you. And Planning Commission.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair.
Good afternoon.
Matt Stanis, Planning Department. This bill was heard by the Planning Commission at their November 30th, 2023 hearing. The Planning Commission has recommended an amendment to the bill and its passage. So briefly, this site has sort of acquired an interesting sort of history to it. So back in 2019, City Council Bill 19-0384 was introduced with the intention of rezoning only a portion of the property. So 3500 West Forest Park Avenue is actually improved with there's two buildings on it. There's a vacant single-family house that's on Forest Park Avenue, and then on the back of the same parcel is a liquor store. It's with a known-as address of 3302 Edgewood Street, but it is legally on 3500 West Forest Park Avenue. So the rezoning bill back in 2019 had the intention of rezoning only the liquor store portion from the R1 to the C1 district. What happened, however, was the ordinance language in that bill is correct, and it specifies that the rezoning was only to be effective for the liquor store portion. However, somehow, the associated plat map was never amended, or it was never updated, or it wasn't included in the final third reader passage. So what happened is the plat map that was passed showed the entire property being rezoned from R1 to C1, and so that's what the city's zoning map reflects. So this only became apparent. Then now, fast forward a couple of years, I think it was in 2022, the property owner submitted to planning a subdivision application to split off the liquor store portion from the vacant house. The owners had the intention at that point in time, and as far as planning is aware, still intends to split the two buildings so they can retain ownership of the liquor store, but sell the vacant house so that it can be renovated and reused as a single-family dwelling. When that subdivision application was submitted, I believe it was in 2022 or 2021, planning became aware that, the entire parcel was rezoned mistakenly to the C1 district. The biggest issue with that is that the C1 district doesn't permit single-family detached houses as a use. So if somebody was to do all of the work to fix up that house and then apply for a use permit, that use permit would have to be denied by the city permit office, because that use, because having a single-family detached house is not permitted in the C1 district. There was communication between property ownership, planning department, and law department to see if there was some sort of administrative fix that could be done. Since again, the ordinance language for that first bill was clearly specified, but law department's determination was that just a new bill would be needed to clear the record and make everything proper. Hence the introduction of City Council Bill 23-0443. Sort of the twist that took place was that this bill as introduced made the opposite mistake of rezoning the entire property back to the R1 district. Hence the planning department's amendment, or the department and planning commission's amendment to clarify in the bill text and the associated plat map that only the portion of the property known as 3302 Edgewood Street, or I beg your pardon, only the portion only the residential portion of the property is to be rezoned back from the C1 district to the R1 district.
All right.
And so, hopefully that is clear for the committee members, what exactly what happened and the reason for the Planning Commission's amendment.
Thank you. And the sponsor of the bill has arrived. As I had mentioned, he was on his way. So I will yield to the sponsor of the bill before we continue with agency reports.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for your indulgence. I have a small person I have to pick up from school, but I will say that the community is very much interested in having this property rezoned back to residential. The rationale The rationale is clear. Mr. Han and Mr. Shin will actually be devaluing the property by making it residential once again, because the current usage in West Baltimore for a large-scale property such as that would actually be a residential care facility, a treatment center. Because of the current commercial use, this is actually us turning it back over to single-family use for him to sell in this current market. This is the will of the community, and I look forward to having your votes for it as well.
Thank you, thank you. Just sharing some of that community, it's, you know, it's a lot of big homes there as well that has kind of been plagued with group home type things, and this is a plus that it is getting turned back into a single family dwelling. And on that note, do we have any questions for planning before we move on? Hearing none, BMZA?
Madam Chair, the BMCA defers to the opinion of the Planning Commission.
Thank you. And the Baltimore Development Corporation? Oh, microphone.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Dave Garza for BDC. We have no objection. We stand by our report to Bill 230443.
Thank
Thank you.
And Transportation?
Madam Chair, Liam Davis, Baltimore City Department of Transportation. We stand by our bill report, which is no objection. Thank you.
Thank you. And lastly, the Parking Authority?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Christmas Age Parking Authority of Baltimore City, we stand by our bill report, which is favorable.
Thank you. Do committee members have any comments or questions? Hearing none, we're checking for public testimony, and there is no public testimony and no online testimony. Is there a motion to recommend the amendment favorable? So moved by Bullock, second by Ramos. Chair Middleton, yes. Bullock? Yes. Is a yes. Conway, absent. Dorsey, absent. Glover, absent. Ramos? Yes. Is a yes. Stokes? Yes. Is a yes. Is there a motion to move the, motion to recommend the bill favorable? So moved. So moved by Ramos and second by Bullock. Chair Middleton, yes. Bullock? Yes. Is a yes. Conway absent, Dorsey absent, Glover absent, and Ramos is a yes. And Stokes is a yes. And this bill will move to second reader at the next council meeting. And Bill number 23-0351, and this is rezoning 1801 and 1807 Bloomingdale Road and 1800 to 1816 North Rosedale Street. And this bill was introduced on February 6th, 2023, and this bill is also sponsored by Councilmember Torrance. Councilmember Torrance.
Thank you, Madam Chair. As we're looking at comprehensively the zoning across West North Avenue, this was an opportunity to change zoning proactively. At one time, this zoning change comes about as we've gotten rid of all the residential use in the area, and the fact that this is a triangular area in terms of North Avenue being commercial, and then the two other ends of the triangle, which North Avenue being a base, the other two sides of that triangle in terms of the lot area are residential, but we only have one residential use left, and the other properties were acquired by the City of Baltimore as residential as well, which were lots. This would spur opportunity for development, as many have seen that there's been interest in changing the public libraries along North Avenue with mixed-use development at the top of it and replacing our libraries at the bottom of it. This is us making sure that we are creating proactive zoning in the community to spur that development and working with community partners about what it looks like to re-envision the actual communities in which they stand into for future development.
Thank you. Agency reports. City Solicitor?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Michelle Toth on behalf of the City Solicitor. We approve the bill for form and legal sufficiency.
Thank you. And I also want to recognize member of the committee, Councilman Glover of the 13th District. Department of Housing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. This is Jason Wright from the Department of Housing and Community Development. We respectfully take no position on this bill.
Okay. Department of Transportation.
Madam Chair, Liam Davis, we stand by our bill report, which is no objection. Thank you.
Thank you. And BMZA?
The BMZA defers to the Planning Commission.
Okay. BDC?
Madam Chair, BDC stands by its report favorable for Council Bill 23-0351. Thank you.
And lastly, the Parking Authority. Oh, not lastly, but next.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Christmas Age Parking Authority of Baltimore City, we stand by our bill report, which is not opposed.
Thank you. And lastly, Planning.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Matt DeSantis. Planning Commission heard this bill at its July 20th, 23 hearing and recommends favorably.
Thank you. Any questions to any of the agencies on this bill? Hearing none, we're checking for public testimony. There is none online or in person. Is there a motion to recommend the bill favorable? So moved. Second. So moved by Bullock, second by Ramos. Chair Middleton is a yes. Bullock is a yes. Conway absent. Dorsey absent. Glover is a yes. Ramos is a yes. And Stokes is a yes. This bill will move to second reader at the next council meeting. And the next the committee will hear Bill number 23-0437, conditional use conversion of a single-family dwelling unit to 3 dwelling units in the R8 zoning district, 1600 South Charles Street. This bill was introduced on October 2nd, 2023. The bill was sponsored by Councilmember Costello. And we'll go ahead with agency representative reports, City Solicitor's Office.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Elena DePietro from the City Solicitor's Office. The Law Department has reviewed this bill and notes that the Planning Department has recommended various amendments, which we are fine with. That being said, as long as the City Council approves the findings that support the standards in the Law Department would be able to approve this bill for form and legal sufficiency.
Thank you for that information. Department of Housing.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Jason Wright from the Department of Housing and Community Development. We respectfully stand behind our bill report of favorable for this bill.
Thank you. And the Planning Commission has, do you have the amendment? Or is there an amendment? It's in the binder. Okay. All right. Go ahead.
Yes, Madam Chair. Thank you. Matt DeSantis. This bill was heard by the Planning Commission at its December 21st, 2023 hearing. Planning Commission recommended 4 specific amendments, which are adding a lot area variance to the bill, adding an off-street parking variance for two required off-street vehicle parking spaces, adding a variance of gross floor area conversion standards, and also an amendment to add a confirmation of the continuing non-conforming structure status for the existing building. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions to planning? BMZA?
BMZA defers to planning.
Thank you. And BDC?
Madam Chair, BDC stands by its report. No objection. Council Bill 23-0437. Thank you.
Thank you. Transportation?
Madam Chair, Liam Davis, Baltimore City Department of Transportation. We stand by our bill report, which is no objection.
Thank you. Parking Authority?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Christmas Age Parking Authority of Baltimore City. Our bill report, we stand by our bill report, which notes that City Council Bill 23-0441, currently in committee, would exclude the converted 3 dwelling unit building from the RPP area number 30. That is, residents of this new converted building would not be able to purchase permits to park in RPP area 30 spaces in the neighborhood. So we would encourage the owner and the property manager to inform prospective residents that they may not be able to participate in the Parking Authority RPP program. Based on the comments, PABC respectfully requests a favorable report on this bill.
And you support with the amendments. Thank you. And the fire department. Yes. Yes.
There were no objections.
I have listed there was no objection, but.
Yeah, no objection. I just wanted to pull up their report, that's all.
Okay. Thank you. So no objection for the fire department. Do committee members have any comments or questions at this point? Do we have public testimony on this bill? And I think we do have two in person.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Chase Hoffberger. I'm here with the property owner, Leon Beatty, Jr. I just wanted to address a couple things. One is sort of the discrepancy with parking and what's going on there. So the plans for the conversion, there's already one or two garage spaces on the property, and the plans for the conversion involve the implementation of a third parking garage on the property. The building is 16 feet wide, which is 2 feet short of a zoning code requirement for the parking space depth. So we needed a variance for the parking because we don't officially have the parking spaces per the zoning code, but my car and most other cars would fit into a 16-foot space, and we're confident that Mr. Beatty's tenants will as well. Mr. Beatty's here to answer any questions. He's the property owner. He will be the developer, general contractor on the project, as well as the property's third floor resident.
Thank you. Do you have comments as well?
Please vote favorably. That's it.
Say who you are.
I'm sorry. My name is Leon Beatty, Jr. I'm the property owner of 1600 South Charles Street, and I really appreciate your support on this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we're checking to see if there's any online. And there is no one online. Is there a motion to recommend? So moved by Stokes. Second by Glover. Chair Middleton, yes. Bullock is a yes. Conway, excuse absence. Dorsey, absent. Glover is a yes. Ramos is a yes. And Stokes is a yes. And this bill will move to second reader at the, oh, I'm sorry, moving too fast. Is there a motion to recommend the bill favorable? So moved by Stokes, second. Second by Ramos. Middleton, yes. Bullock, yes. Glover is a yes. Ramos is a yes. And Stokes is a yes. Oh, that was fast. I'm looking for some more. Thank you all. This hearing is adjourned.